Exceptions. Exceptions are the bane of everyone's life who's ever tried to teach. I used to have a catchphrase when I used to teach biology, which was, you'd say something like, all insects have 6 legs, apart from those that don't. Every time you make us say something like, all insects have 6 legs, your little bell goes off in the back of your heads. What about? And there are exceptions. So, you can expect to win with an extra pawn and a piece against a bare king, but this is the exception. It's a bishop with a rook's pawn, and the queening square is on a different colour square to the bishop. We say it's the bishop of the wrong colour. What's wrong about this? Well, if it was black's go, king to g8, and what black's going to do is put their king on h8, and that's the square you need to pawn on, queen to pawn on. But if the king goes to h8, how are you going to force it out of the corner? The only square that you've got an influence over that you can get near, well, if you move your king to f8, that's stalemate. If you move your bishop to c4, that's stalemate. If you give the king some chance to move, you've not really made any progress, and this is a draw. It's a sad draw. So in the start position, if it's white to move here, you have to cut the king off and they can win. But with a bishop of the wrong colour, you've got to keep the king out of the corner. A most important exception. Another important exception is if you have bishops of opposite colour. Let me just set something up quickly here. If we have bishops of opposite colour, there's no way that the black king can be forced out of the f8 square. They just move their bishop around, and you waste time. So with bishops of opposite colour, because there's no zugzwang, there's no way to force the king away from the queening square. So with bishops of opposite colour, a strong drawing factor. And in fact, I keep saying 2 pawns ahead usually win. They do, but not here. If you've got bishops of opposite colour, then we may well just get a draw. So in this position, if you advance the d pawn, then I think you can see quickly that black's going to blockade the pawns on the dark squares and you can't make progress. If you advance the e pawn, you're in with more of a chance, but black's going to be looking for chances to swap the bishop for both pawns. And again, as long as they're can you create a position where you make a check, because you'll need to move your pawns forward onto the dark squares at some point. The next one that's got to happen is d6. It's got to be important. If you get your king around to, can you get your king safely around to somewhere like c6 for all of this? It's have a play, but I think you'll see that you can draw 2 pawns down with opposite coloured bishops, and I think I've managed to do it with 3 pawns down against my. I won't tell you who it was because I'll bound to be embarrassed by it. But it's not an easy thing to draw. It's not an easy thing to win with opposite coloured bishops. So another exception. There are some other exceptions with rooks and pawns. So, for example, if you've got rooks rooks and 2 pawns with a bishop and a rook's pawn. This, grandmaster against grandmaster, computer against computer, is a draw. It's no use knowing that it's a draw without knowing how. So there's a difference between knowing that and knowing how. If you know how to draw this, great. Otherwise, I think if I was white, I might be quite happy to try and win this. It's no use knowing that it's if your opponent knowing that it's a draw without knowing how to draw. So that's a drawing position, and if the other type of position which can be drawn, even if you're 2 pawns up, is with 2 rook's pawns. Although again, computer against computer, probably a draw. Grandmaster against grandmaster, I've seen it won. So. And that's probably true for the rook pawn bishop pawn idea as well. So those are the theoretical exceptions, but I think I'm not going to try and teach you about these yet. Have a look, have a practice by yourselves, fine, but it's important to know, I guess, that they are a draw. You might be able to bail out into them, but you also need to know how to draw, and those are not easy even for grandmasters sometimes. But those are the exceptions, and that they're worth knowing about.